And welcome back to another Crash Team Racing developer time trial video. Last time I took on Sebastian M, spent quite a while on that guy, but overall he was a worthwhile challenge. Today I'm going to be taking on all the other developers with 1 or 2 tracks attached to them just so they're out of the way. Which means today's focus will be on Francis C, Francois B, Frederic M, Jean-Francois M, and Raphael C, all on Electron Avenue, Twilight Tour, Meteor Gorge, Deep Sea Driving, Inferno Island, and Engine Labs respectively. A good chunk of these, by the way, were all done in between other major developers like Vincent A and Sebastian M, so it was good that I got them out of the way while I still can. And this time it's going to be a 3-way split between the Trophy Wives and the Precious Child. Against Francis C's times I went Isabella, I took Amy on against Francois B and Frederic M, and I took Baby Coco against Jean-Francois and Raphael. So first up is Electron Avenue against Francis C. This one wasn't really that bad, honestly. It took about 8 attempts, but I managed to beat it relatively well. Considering this is one of those tracks I've been farming on for months on end, I knew I'd be able to make my way around those corners nice and smooth like. The best I could beat this track on was about 3 minutes and 10 seconds, so all I really had to do was hug those corners and U-turn as much as possible to beat Francis' time by just that much. A nice and steady run overall.
Execution.
Next is Twilight Tour. Thankfully I didn't spend too much time on this one. This one took about 4 attempts. Another relatively solid time to beat. Before this, my personal best was 2 minutes 15 seconds, so all I really had to do was make sure I beat my own game, on top of tackling Francois C at the same time. Keep my blue fire, hug those corners, not a whole lot going on really.
Execution.
Meteor Gorge against Francois B. This is one of the first few tracks that really kept me for a while. This took about 34 attempts. Needless to say, this was extremely baffling. I've noticed they've been jump cutting through the snow relatively well on this track, something I cannot do to save my life. This is going to be a running theme, isn't it? Adding insult to injury, this person was using Amy, which kinda served as a personal motive for me to not want to give up on this track. So once I taught myself how to hop through the snow, I knew I was ready to tackle Francois once again. And this is where we are now. Deep sea driving against Frederic M. This is the track I knew I was going to spend a while on. Everyone's been telling me how hard a track this was to beat the developer on, and they were not kidding. This one took me 59 attempts, and it all eventually ended in a draw. And I swear I nearly had a heart attack the minute I saw the text read, "You've beaten the developer." Now, what kept me from losing my sanity on this track is that eventually I learned there is a pattern to the rotating fans in the tubes, and I'd like to thank people like Kindred CVS for pointing this out. The fans are going to be going clockwise, then counterclockwise, then counterclockwise and clockwise at the same exact time near the end of the tunnel. Had to keep that in mind, keep those corners intact, make sure I don't hit the spinning blade near the end of the fork, and eventually I persevered and actually beat this track. And I'm really glad to have gotten this out of the way while I still did. Inferno Island against Jean-Francois M. Perhaps the easiest of all the developer times, this one only taking 2 attempts. All I really had to do on this track was keep my reserves and hug the corners. Not that big a track, so there's not a whole lot going on, so let's just sit back and watch the baby have a field day. And finally we close on Engine Labs against Raphael C, this taking a good 10 attempts. Considering how well I can play this track, I knew I could beat this one with almost no effort. And had I not slipped up and completely choked in one of my attempts, I wouldn't have beaten this at 5 attempts, give or take. But you know, you live, you learn. Fortunately, Raphael slips up on lap 3 and loses fire, so I took advantage of that and kept a good steady lead against him. At the very least, I was able to beat that stupid monkey face Nina. At the very least, I had a good run. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you in the next Developer Time video. Take care.